Kazakhstan. An incredible journey. This is a wonderful story that began in 1846, when British architect Thomas Witham Atkinson chose to embark on a daring journey to Kazakhstan. He was one of the first European explorers ever to travel this far to the east of the vast Russian Empire. To do that, he had to ask the emperor directly. The Tsar granted permission and issued him with a special passport.
He got the idea from a famous German geologist called Humboldt, who he met and knew, and who said you should go to Siberia and Kazakhstan, because there is such wonderful terrain to cover.
When this journey was undertaken, my sole object was to sketch the scenery, scarcely at all known to Europeans. Mine has been a tolerably wide field extending from Kokhan in the west to the eastern end of the Baikal, and as far south as the Chinese town of Chinzi, including that immense chain Xianshan, never before seen by any European, as well as a large portion of the western part of the Gobi, over which Genghis Khan marched his wild hordes towards the west. In all, about 39,500 miles in the course of 7 years.
Thomas and Lucy went to the most remote place it was possible to go. The Russians had been building little forts, military forts, all the way down east of what is now Kazakhstan. And the last fort, the most southerly place, was Kapal. Almaty didn't exist. What an incredible journey they had done, and particularly Lucy, because when they traveled to Kapal the first time, Lucy was pregnant, and they were traveling in sometimes 12 or 14 hours with no water, no food, nothing.
Over the course of this long journey, he made many discoveries that brought about considerable acclaim from his contemporaries. He published 2 books about his unprecedented adventure. Both received a warm welcome from Western scientists and even proved popular with the general public. Thomas Atkinson's efforts were recognized with membership of the Royal Geographical and Royal Geological Societies.
They came down here to this area when Lucy was 7 months pregnant. She was expecting to go back to Barnaul and give birth in Barnaul at the right time, but as she put it, a little stranger arrived.
He made his appearance on the 4th of November at 4:20. He is to be called Alatau, as he was born at the foot of this mountain range, and his second name, Tam Chimbulak, this being a dropping spring close to which he was called into existence.
It is amazing that little Alatau survived, because the winter was very, very cold. There were a number of other children born in this area, and sadly, every one of them died. But Lucy says that every single day, she brought Alatau down to the Tamshibulak spring and bathed him in these wonderful waters of the Tamshibulak spring. And she believes that that is why Alatau was allowed to survive. There's a line of Alatau Tamshibulaks. His fate was to, after his education in England, a bishop by the name of Bishop Staley told him that he thought it would be a good idea for him to go to Hawaii and to found a school there, basically. And he did so, and it is one of the finest schools in the capital city of Honolulu today. It's called Iolani School. There is also a street in Honolulu that is named Atkinson Drive, and that is named after Alatau Tamshibulak. One of his sons became a governor of the territory of Hawaii. So the family was quite important.
Here we saw a sunset over the steppe, than which I never saw anything more enchanting. Those who have not visited these regions can form no conception of the splendor of an evening scene over the steppe.
170 years later, Thomas and Lucy's descendants would follow in their footsteps. Traveling from as far afield as Hawaii, New Zealand, and Great Britain, theirs would be a very different journey.
Ku ke na kama'aina o Hawaii. We from Hawaii stand openly. Ku ke nakama aina o Britannia. We from Britain stand openly. Eya ne maluna ke aina Kazakhstan, here in the land called Kazakhstan. E ho ihi, to be respectful. E maliu mai e, our permission to enter. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e.
That time in Kazakhstan's history, when Thomas Atkinson traveled here, was a time when Kazakhstan was not really known as a country, neither to the general public in the West, nor to British or even Russian explorers. I think the research conducted by Thomas Atkinson will help us not just to better understand our past, but to plan our future too.
I think the Kazakhs realize how important this is. They now have a new bit of their history. They now have faces for people who are in their history books, from the paintings of Thomas. Sultan Bulen, Sultan Suk, Sultan Beg. These names were in the books before, but now we know their faces because Thomas painted them. Even today, there are some songs about the Atkinsons. There is a song about Lucy. There was a sultan from Semirechye who wanted to marry Lucy. He wanted Lucy to stay with him and to leave Thomas and to stay there. And his song, the song is the story of a lament, how sad it is that she will not stay with me. You know, she's going away.
Kazakhstan today has become one of the most advanced countries in Central Asia. Its capital city, built almost from scratch some 20 years ago, is a fascinating blend of nomadic tradition and the most modern of architecture. The totally self-contained and eco-friendly buildings in the middle of what was once a vast and barely habitable steppe make a clear statement. Kazakhstan stands ready to challenge the limits of what is possible. This dynamic country is blessed. Though rich in reserves of natural resources, neither the country nor its people are willing to stop there. As true nomads, they are determined to explore and embrace the world around them.
We went to the Presidential Museum. It is remarkable, the buildings that we have seen here. Some very beautiful ones and some gigantic buildings.
The vision of your president is incredible.
My experience here has been really overwhelming. I have been so embraced by your country.
Later this year, Astana will welcome the World Technological Exhibition, Expo 2017. This is an exciting opportunity, bringing many new challenges and innovations. Kazakhstan will be discovered again, this time by tens of thousands of eager travelers from all over the world. Kazakhstan is an actively developing country. Astana, the capital city, is one of very few examples of a new capital being built in a very limited period of time. Astana hosts lots of international forums and events. We've hosted an OSCE forum, the Asian Games, and we're preparing to welcome World Expo. This spectacular exhibition will focus on the subject of future energy.
Well, the first thing, don't forget, Thomas Atkinson was an architect. So what he will see is the extraordinary buildings, and he will be amazed and, I think, overwhelmed by seeing such remarkable architecture. He would rejoice in the fact that this kind of project will ensure that the wild places that he loved will continue to exist.
All this is happening very soon, and promises to become another legendary chapter in a glorious story. Thomas and Lucy Atkinson's journey may not have changed Kazakhstan's history, but it certainly added some notable pages to it, allowing its contemporaries to get to know the country at the heart of Eurasia and help them to love it. And that's something to be remembered. Kazakhstan, an incredible journey.